Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of our Wellness Wednesday podcast show. I'm Uma from the Lotus and Light Metaphysical Center, where we explore practical spirituality and conscious living every week. Today, we're diving into a topic that beautifully blends science and spirit: how energy or prana shapes your health and well being. Joining me today is Raghava Shanker, a software engineer with a deep passion for energy healing and community service. Since 2004, he's been practicing and teaching pranic healing, helping people restore balance, vitality, and emotional clarity through the intelligent use of life force energy. And here's the secret that we're dropping today: Raghava is now at the Lotus and the Light Metaphysical Center. You heard it here first, guys. We have Raghava. He's going to be teaching workshops and leading guided meditations at the center starting November. So we are so excited to welcome Raghava. So, Raghava, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here today to explore this powerful connection between logic, energy, and healing.
Hi Uma, how are you?
I'm doing well. Are you excited to be working at Lotus?
Absolutely, I'm super excited and thanks for having me on your show.
I'm so excited too. Guys, I met Raghava at several different places. I met him online. I met him at the festivals, the expos, because we both work the expos and festivals here in the Northern Virginia DMV area. And I was just like taken by his energy and his aura. And we just started talking, and healer to healer, we just understood that people in life, right? They need more healing, don't you think? They need more healing.
Absolutely.
But I'm interested to hear more about you because you actually have a very funny start to this. You came from a tech background that's rooted in logic and data. How did you first discover pranic healing, and what drew you into exploring energy from a scientific perspective?
Absolutely. It's one of the topic which I really love to talk about, coming from a tech background and moving into energy world and exploring spirituality or energy modalities. So from my younger days, I was not really into energy or any of these concepts. When people talk about energy, I'm like, oh, these are all fancy things or things that you cannot see, because when somebody tells about energy, there's no way you can validate things. There's no way, like, at least for not that for regular people who are not trained in energy, they cannot see energy or they cannot feel it. So I was kind of a person who is like, if you tell me anything, I want to prove it that it's not correct or something. Like, I want to test things. I went to different modalities, and people used to talk about energy, and they used to be like, you get better if you follow a certain practice. It never really struck with me. But there was one fine day when I was actually having stomach pain. That one, I don't know if I have to say it's a fine day or a bad day, but I was having stomach pain, and I came across this person who said, "Oh, you know what? You're having stomach pain. Then let me do something and see if it helps you." He did not promise me anything. He just said, let's see if it works out. I was like, people tell me so many things. This is another thing. So let me try it out. 10 minutes, and I was feeling really well. And I was
Mm.
like, nice coincidence. I met this person. I'm feeling well now. And he was like, oh, this weekend we have a class. Why didn't you just come and see? So the first thing that came into my mind was, okay, let me go to this class and prove that he's wrong. So that was the reason I went over there. And during the class, it was so interactive. The questions, whatever questions I was asking, they were being answered. And the best part was the energy, I could feel it. And it's not just feeling the energy, I could see energy. And I could validate things. Coming from a tech background, the first thing that you want to see is logic. You want to see how things are actually working out. You want to see the mechanics or the dynamics on how things are working. It's not just fancy stuff. So pranic healing for me was able to understanding the dynamics and the mechanics of how things are working. So when I was using energy in the class, people were actually like, I was able to feel energy. So that was my first introduction to pranic healing and my experience with class. And after it's a course of 2 days where I was able to see energy, feel energy.
Wow.
And believe me, after 2 days, anybody would have been like, this is amazing. And I was like, this is good, but maybe they did some tricks in the class because of which I'm able to feel and see things. But
Right.
if it actually works,
Yeah.
in two
And
days, I was like, I understood pranic healing, but I wanted to experiment.
And
So
I love that because as healers, right, we're so used to feeling energy and working with energy. But to the regular person that's listening to this show, they're like, kind of like where you were at in 2004. Is this real? Are they making it up? And that makes me wonder, how would you respond to people who are new to this? Like, how would you describe energy or prana? And then is it different, prana and energy in general?
prana and energy are, it's like terms of the same coin. It's prana is energy. Energy is a very simplified term that you can use. Prana has it's a word in one of the language. It's called by different names in different languages or origins. Like the Chinese call it chi. So when you hear the word chi, it's nothing but prana or energy. It's much easier to call by a common name by the name energy. But if you somebody says key, or like in aikido, it's all energy.
That makes sense to me because when I teach Reiki, I tell people all the time, we're working with the energy in the body. Now, the Japanese tradition calls it Reiki ki, right? Chinese call it chi, Indians call it prana. So it's an interchangeable word, as you're saying, for energy.
Yes, that is correct. Depending on people's uh, ease of use, you can call it either way.
Right.
And people who want to experience energy, I tell it this way. Let's say if you're someone who never had a taste of lemon or a cake, if somebody offers you, how do you take it?
Mm,
You're skeptical about it, but you want to try it.
yeah.
Similar with it's the same thing with energy. Try it out. Energy has so many applications. Some people call it as, we could use energy just to heal ourselves, or get better. But it's just one application of energy. There are so many applications. It's a very simple thing. Like, one of the common factor with people working in IT industry is stress. There are so many people suffering with blood pressure and many medical complications because of the stress they endure in the IT environment. With energy or pranic healing, you can actually remove that stress causing energy and help your body to maintain that young or healthy state.
Yeah.
And it's not health. Again, you can use it for financial prosperity. You can use it to like make your house much more appealing to people. You can use it for business. You can use it in your business to attract more customers, prosperity, so many applications.
Yeah, because everything is energy, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Now, you've been practicing pranic healing since 2004. That's like over 2 decades of experience. I'm pretty sure you've seen some amazing things in your world of pranic healing. Can you share one transformation story that stands out to you from your work, whether with a client or a student, or even your own story? I'm sure you have tons, but like something that just over 2 decades, you're like, I'll never forget that.
I'll give two stories. They
Yeah.
just popped up in mind. One is a personal experience of mine, and one is a client that I have interacted with. So, uh, when I was in my engineering days, there are so many books that you come across. Just before the examinations, you have ton of books that you need to refer to, and in the short span of time, sometimes you're clueless on which one to reach out to or which one to read first. So with energy, you can actually scan the energy of the book and see which one is much more attractive to you, or probably not attractive, but much more meaningful. So before my examinations, I used to scan the energy of a book and see which one is much more likely for me to be helpful at that point of time. So in that way, it really helped me to pick the right book. And in that particular book, I used to see that most of the examination questions used to come from that particular book. So in that way, it really helped me in my studies as a student. And and during my days when I started working as an IT professional, in my like younger days as an IT professional, there's a lot of uh, no, there's no straightforward way in IT industry. So you are debating between which career to choose. And let's say if you want to be a coder or a tester or networking or something else. So when I never really understood my way, I used to scan and see which is my right path for my career. So I chose a career which is much more meaningful to me in IT. So that way it helped me personally. And then coming to a client story, I really love to share this.
Wait, before the client story, what you just said is so profound because look at like what we're going through in the world today, right? Like we're in the Virginia area in the DMV and we have this government shutdown, right? And I have a lot of clients, I do readings and I have a lot of clients coming to me like, Uma, am I going to be hired? Am I going to get my job back? How's my money? And the overall collective message I've been getting is that people are not doing the right work, right? So
Yes.
imagine if someone took your class and learned how to scan themselves. Wouldn't that be like a benefit for so many people that are in the wrong professions?
It's a huge, huge help with pranic healing, with energy, how you can choose your career. This is another example. In 2015, when I was looking for a job, uh, this was my second transition from a different job to in the IT industry itself. I was looking for a different job. So when I was giving interviews, I for some reason I gave two interviews. It went really well, and they said they're going to extend an offer, and I never really got it.
Hmm.
So by the time the third interview was coming, I was kind of like upset on to see like why I'm clearing the interviews but not getting a job offer.
Right.
So and then I came across I got an interview, I got this particular company, I got the offer letter, and I worked with that company for 10 years at a stretch. And it was in my career path, it was a very useful one because it directed me in a way that I would never really have understood myself.
Wow.
So the way it helped me is it gave me the right job at that time, because you might choose a job that might just come up, but it may not be meaningful. You may not have the right growth in that. But with this particular job, I had the growth. And this particular job, I got it only because of energy scanning.
That's
So
amazing. I can't wait to hear your second story, which is a client testimonial.
yes. So this particular lady, she was approximately 72, between 70 and 75 years old, and she had a very like beautiful, healthy life all for 70 years. And then suddenly in her 70th year, she started an issue where she was like drooping saliva. She reached out to multiple doctors, and then the doctors were like, you're all healthy, but they couldn't figure out the problem. She easily reached out to at least 25 to 30 doctors, and nobody gave a proper solution. And when I say doctors, they are all top notch hospitals and doctors. Nobody gave a solution. So I came across this particular lady through a mutual friend of mine, and when I was first discussing this problem with her, she couldn't even speak. It was her husband who explained the issue, and he was like, even a small improvement is a big improvement in our health, in our lifestyle. So I was like, we could try pranic healing, but no promises. And this is another thing in pranic healing, although we don't promise anything, things work out. So
Right.
it is always like try it out, then you understand. So we started healing on her. When I say we, I started healing on her. In 2 weeks, there was a huge improvement in her saliva. And in 2 weeks, you won't believe she spoke with me. That was the first time she was speaking after probably like 2.5, 3 years. Because if she opens her mouth, the saliva used to just come out. So
Wow.
in 2 weeks, she started speaking, and then we continued the healing for, I think, 2.5, 3 months, and she was really like, it really, really improved. She was probably around 90% improvement mark after the 3 months. In pranic healing, what we advise is not just take healing, but we advise people to learn pranic healing. Because once you learn pranic healing, it's not just that you can heal yourselves, you can also heal your loved ones, you can heal your pets, your plants. So you can use it, heal it for yourself. So the husband ended up learning pranic healing and he continued the healing.
I love that because that goes in alignment with the motto at the Lotus and the Light. Because, with the Lotus and the Light, our tagline is unleash your mind, unleash your world, which says that it really comes down to what you believe, right? And
Mm,
also to, I teach everybody, like people come to me for services, but I keep trying to put them into classes because I tell them all the time, we're not trying to give you fish, we're trying to teach you how to fish. So that way
yes.
you can take care of yourself, your home, your family, your community, and help us, right, in the healing work. So I love that you guys do that too in pranic healing.
Mm,
That's so very important. Now today, I feel like healers back in the day used to be so revered. We were so revered. No other word. People loved us, they looked up to us. But today, people are a little bit more skeptical, right? They think we're all charlatans and, you know, this is all just made up. How do you bridge that gap and explain pranic healing to someone with an analytical or scientific mind? I'm assuming that in your line of work as a tech guy, people probably, you have to explain it to them and you probably get some kickback. So what's that like?
Before I answer that exactly, can I ask one quick question?
Yeah,
What is the difference between faith and a lab experiment or scientific process? Faith and scientific process.
the placebo effect. No.
So, to put it in simple words, faith is something you're just believing,
Right.
but whereas a scientific experiment is something whether you do it or I do it, we get the same result because you follow a certain procedure. Similarly, with pranic healing, it is not faith, it is the process that you're doing. Whether you do it or I do it or somebody else do it, if we follow those certain steps, like a lab experiment, we all get the same results. So that is how I see pranic healing bridging between technology and medicine.
Wow. That's a really thoughtful, well thought out answer. And I hope for those of you that are watching or listening, that you take this into consideration because he's pretty much teaching you ways that you can work on yourself and your loved ones. So we always say in spiritual practices, right? It does not replace medical guidelines, medical what you call it, recommendations, advice, right? We don't, it works with it, right?
Correct. So pranic healing is not something which I bought out. This is by a person called Master Chokoksi. He's a
Okay.
Filipino and a chemical engineer by origin. So even he had the interest to understand how energy works. So being a chemical engineer by origin, he uh, learned or came across and understood various energy concepts, and that is how he brought out pranic healing. So it is a very scientific process that you pranic healing is a very scientific process.
That's amazing. I didn't even know it came from the Philippines, because when you hear pranic healing, you just automatically assume it comes from India, right?
Yes,
So
yes. That's
that's
something that many people think of.
that's amazing. So you're teaching now, it's called GMCKS. You're teaching GMCKS Pranic Healing Level 1 workshop at the center this weekend. It's, from what I understand, it's a 2-day class, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If someone wanted to take this class with you, right, whether it's this weekend, or by the way, guys, the first weekend of the month is when Raghava teaches his classes. So, if you don't get in on the November class, you can get in on December, the first weekend, January, the first. Well, maybe not January. We have to talk about January because that's usually the weekend I do my New Year retreat. But we'll talk about that. But what can participants expect to experience during that training? And how can it benefit their everyday lives if they come and take your class?
So the basic pranic healing course by Master Chokoksui, it's a 2-day course where it's very theoretical and practical. So if you're coming to the class, don't expect to just lie down and listen to what I'm telling. It's going to be very practical. So when I talk about energy, you're going to see energy. I'll make you feel energy, and then we are going to like have examples where you're going to scan to see which let's say medicine is good for you, or which book is good for you, or we can heal certain cases where we talk about chakras, feel chakras, see the energy, so many things. It's a very practical class for 2 days.
Okay. So, guys, this is Raghava Shanker. He is a pranic healing healer and a teacher of the arts. If you guys want to get in contact with him, we have all his links in the bio. You guys can definitely check it out. Now, a little bird told me that you have a freebie for our listeners and our viewers. Do you want to share more about that?
Yes, absolutely. We offer meditation on twin hearts every Tuesday evenings at 7 o'clock at the Lotus Center. And also, we do intro to pranic healing sessions. Both the meditation and intro to pranic healing sessions are free or by offer basis. So feel free to come down and see how you like them.
I love that. And how can people find you online? I know we have it, the links in the bio and stuff, but for somebody who's listening and they really want to just go there, where are you on social media?
So we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, or you can find us on pranichealingvirginia.com. If you're away from Pranic Heal, or if you are away from the Virginia area, you can find us in Maryland, New Jersey. We are across the globe. So depending on where you are on Earth, you can find us at a region near you. But me, pranichealingvirginia.com.
pranichealingvirginia.com. You heard it here, guys. Raghava, thank you so much for sharing your insight and wisdom today. I love how you remind us that energy healing isn't about belief, it's about awareness, practice, and understanding the deeper systems of life that science is only beginning to uncover. For those watching and listening, if you felt inspired by today's conversation, you can meet Raghava in person this weekend at the Lotus and Light Metaphysical Center for his Pranic Healing Level 1 workshop. All the details are on our meetup web page and in the links below. Remember, guys, you are energy, you are light, and your awareness is the most powerful healer you possess. May love, light, peace guide your path today and every day. And until next Wednesday, I'll see you guys again. Bye, guys.